Are you aware that Ukraine is about to lose the war with Russia? The reason is the US. It promised to stand with Ukraine forever, and because of this support, Ukraine kept resisting Russia. But all of a sudden, the US does not care about Ukraine. It has ended all aid to Ukraine and says it has nothing to do with Russia and the Ukraine war. But if that was the case, why did the US stand with Ukraine in the first place? Was the US willing to help, or did it have other intentions? Let's find out. Welcome back to another exciting episode of our channel. Innovation Diary brings you China's innovation stories, projects, and growing influence in different parts of the world. If you are new to the channel and enjoy learning about fast-paced modernity, especially China's development and growing power, you will find our videos intriguing. In this video, we will discuss why the US is unwilling to help Ukraine now. We will also talk about Ukraine's future. Watch the video until the end to know if China can help Ukraine now. Let's get started. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine, once dominating headlines, has gradually faded into the background amid ongoing global crises. Despite extensive efforts by the US and its allies to support Ukraine, recent developments suggest a stark reality. Ukraine's chances of winning the war seem increasingly slim, and that's only because of the US. Over the last 2 years, the US has invested massive amounts of money and resources in supporting Ukraine, aiming to tip the balance of the war against Russia. However, the glorified success of sanctions and military aid has not materialized. The sanctions, primarily led by the US, lacked global support, with only 28 out of 193 UN member states imposing them. Major players like India, China, Brazil, and South Africa have maintained or increased their trade with Russia, recognizing its importance, particularly in the energy sector. The Russian economy, initially affected by the conflict, has shown resilience. The ruble has regained its pre-war value, and Russia has diversified its economy, reducing dependence on oil and gas exports. Militarily and politically, Russia has mobilized its resources, secured strategic alliances, and maintained popular support domestically. In contrast, the US and its allies face challenges sustaining their intervention in Ukraine. Depleted ammunition stocks, criticism from their own Congress, and a lack of clear strategy pose significant obstacles. President Zelensky's appeal for more financial support highlights the deadlock in the conflict. A notable shift in public opinion has occurred in the US, with a growing perception that the country is doing too much to help Ukraine. The escalation of another conflict in the Middle East involving Israel and Hamas further diverted global attention from the Russia-Ukraine war. The media's reduced coverage and changing public sentiment highlight the evolving priorities on the global stage. So, does this mean the US has ignored Ukraine? Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos about China's development, power, and influence on the world. Let's continue now. To understand the situation fully, it is crucial to revisit the background of US-Ukraine relations. The relationship between the two nations has been marked by complexities, with the US showing intermittent support for Ukraine in its struggle against external pressures, particularly from Russia. Historically, the US has condemned Russia's actions in Ukraine and has assisted the country, both in terms of economic aid and military support. The assertion that the US has ignored Ukraine due to the Israel-Hamas conflict raises eyebrows and prompts a closer examination of global geopolitical dynamics. The fact that the US has neglected Ukraine in favor of supporting Israel implies a shift in priorities based on political motives rather than a genuine commitment to aiding nations in need. This means the US selectively extends its support to nations that align with its geopolitical interests, irrespective of the urgency or gravity of the situation in other regions. So why is Ukraine being ignored? The US shapes its foreign policy decisions based on the need to counteract global competitors, particularly Russia and China. The US involvement in international crises is not rooted in a genuine desire to help nations in distress, but rather as a strategic move to maintain its global influence. The Israel-Hamas conflict has become a focal point for those questioning US intentions in international crises. The US support for Israel is not solely motivated by a commitment to its security, but is rather a calculated move to oppose China's approach to the conflict. This raises important questions about the sincerity of US involvement and whether it serves the nation's interests in crisis or is driven by a broader geopolitical agenda. The US support for Israel goes beyond a genuine concern for the well-being of the region and its people. Instead, it is seen as a strategic move to align with Israel as a key ally in the Middle East. potentially countering China's regional influence. So, the emergence of Israel as a new focal point for international aid introduces a dynamic element to the geopolitical equation. Israel has long been a contentious player in the Middle East, with its own set of geopolitical challenges and security concerns. The U.S., a long-standing ally of Israel, has redirected its attention and resources toward the Middle Eastern nation, citing the need for support in the face of regional instability. The apparent shift in focus from Ukraine to Israel has significant implications for the Eastern European nation. The reduction in international assistance, particularly from the United States, could leave Ukraine vulnerable. The U.S. perceives its support for Israel as more strategically crucial in the current global context. The U.S. has found a new war to aid, and it no longer wants to aid Ukraine because no one is talking about Ukraine. The U.S. wants to get famous and become the talk of the town by helping Israel, not Ukraine. Now, what would happen to Ukraine if the U.S. stopped helping? Beyond the geopolitical considerations, there is a human element to the equation. The people of Ukraine, who have faced the brunt of conflict and economic hardship, depend on international assistance for their well-being. A sudden reduction in aid can have severe consequences for vulnerable populations, including displaced persons, children, and the elderly. International aid is a matter of strategic interest and a moral imperative. The global community is responsible for alleviating human suffering and promoting stability in regions facing crises. As the focus shifts, the international community must assess the ongoing needs of Ukraine and other nations, grappling with complex challenges. So, what will the future of Ukraine be? China has made its stance clear regarding Ukraine, suggesting that the United States may only use Ukraine for its interests. China has also decided to help Russia and Ukraine end this conflict. China's offer to mediate in the Ukraine-Russia conflict signifies a new chapter in its diplomatic approach. While the United States has been a traditional mediator and supporter of Ukraine, China's willingness to step into this role indicates a changing dynamic in international relations. The offer extends beyond rhetoric, as China has expressed a genuine interest in facilitating dialogue and finding a peaceful resolution to the long-standing conflict. The shifting landscape of global politics plays a crucial role in determining the course of international relations. With the United States reducing its involvement in Ukrainian affairs, China's intervention introduces a new element to the geopolitical equation. As a rising global power, China's influence is becoming increasingly significant, and its involvement in mediating conflicts adds a layer of complexity to the international stage. For Ukraine, the implications of China's involvement are significant. As a nation caught in geopolitical tensions, Ukraine must navigate a complex web of international relations to secure its future. China's commitment to resolving the conflict presents an opportunity for Ukraine to explore new diplomatic avenues and seek a resolution that aligns with its national interests. Ukraine will get aid from China now, and it won't be to fight but to end the war. So this matter exposed the U.S. It showed how weak these powerful nations are in solving conflicts. They use nations under crisis to benefit and show the world they care about human rights. But the first thing that comes to the mind of a leader like Biden is political interests. That's all that matters when you are talking about the U.S. If there are political benefits, the U.S. is ready to help. But it will leave nations in the middle once it has completely used them. We would like to take a moment here and appreciate you all for commenting and sharing your opinions. Your insights always impress us. Do you think China will solve this conflict? Will the nations trust the U.S. next time? Has the U.S. failed as a peacemaker? From this, what are your guesses about the U.S.'s involvement in the Israel-Hamas conflict? Let us know in the comments section what the U.S. wants to achieve in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence over the world. Until the next video, stay tuned.